contract of service and contract for service comes into picture. Okay, so I have an article which I want to refer. It's an IP Leaders article only. Very nicely, there is a table, which is laid down, and I'll just share the link with you all also. It's an IP Leaders article only. It's very simply laying down what is the difference between a contract of service and contract for service. This is very important for you all to know while you are, in the hiring part of the structure. Okay, so if you see, what is contract for service? Okay, so the parties, a contract for service is an agreement that is entered into by a company with a third party. I have engaged Mr. Anup Thomas for XYZ services. This is how you can remember it to make it easy. I have engaged XYZ person for that service. Okay, so when I say contract for service, I am having a third party on board to give me certain services that I would need. This person is not going to be my employee. Okay, so this is a contract for hire of consultancy services, for hire of legal services, for hire of software development services, for hire of data management services. It could be anything. So this is known as contract for service when you are having a third party on board. Okay, this third party is an independent service provider. Okay, this is not an employee of the company. Okay, very important. When you do a contract for service, the third party is not entitled to the benefits that our employees are entitled to. Okay, so let's say all the employees of the company are getting a Diwali bonus, sending out a gift. You don't do this for third parties, right? You're doing it for the employees of the company because their hard work is ultimately making the company grow and having a goodwill and all of that, right? So third party people do not have right. Contract for service hua, so you don't need to give the entitlements to them. Okay, company also does not have control over the third party because they are independent, right? Doing just providing the services that you are asking them for. So the company would not have an entitlement on that person. Okay, this is in contract for service. Okay, what is the ownership of intellectual property? Let's say you have a third party on board and they've developed, let's say, an article or a chapter or a book, if this is an educational institution. So company will want the service provider to assign ownership of IP rights and return, they can pay. Okay, this arrangement may or may not happen. If there are consultants on board, they are generating something during the ongoing project. I have hired, let's say Himanshi, I've hired you on board. Okay, and you are with me for a period of 6 months, and we are doing a research on, let's say, capital punishment. Okay, this is a very hypothetical situation. You generate something which is an interpretation, this comes to be published. I would say that, Himanshi, this has happened because you were doing my project. This is not something that you have independently generated. Because you were in my contract and you have generated this, that's why I would just pay you for the work. I would keep the IP rights to it. But when you enter into consultancy contracts, the consultant may say that, I'm not going to give IP rights to you. And this is also part of negotiation. It can happen that Himanshi says that I have been involved in doing so and so. I have certain copyrights in my name and I would have done this irrespective of your project or not. So I'm not going to give my IP rights to you. So this also is a part of negotiation. How does IP work in this? Consultants ke saath negotiations may happen through this. Okay. Now, what is a contract of service? Okay. So here it is an agreement that is entered into by the company with an individual for availing his or services. Basically, you are employing somebody on board. You are not hiring them for services. You are taking their service immediately in the employment. It is known as contract of service. Okay? Here, the individual is employee of the company. You are entitled to the benefits that the company would give you. Company has control. Of course, the company has control over the employees, and the employees are bound to obey whatever the company says, the policies, the contract, everything. Okay. Of course, if an employee is generating any IP, it could be an invention, it could be a copyright, it could be anything. It is the right of the company to have it. There is a very strict intellectual property clauses that are there. So a quick description, differentiation is also given in the chart, that a contract for service is basically a company and a third party. For word अगर आप याद रखेंगे तो आपको याद हो जाएगा. I have engaged this person for something. Okay, just remember this line so you will never get confused in this concept. For doing this work, I have engaged this person. तो आपका third party आ जाता है. Of मतलब employee. Of course, this for service mein the person is an independent contractor, and off mein it is an employee-employee relationship. Third party, the company does not have control. In contract of service, the company has control. And IP, you can pay and get the IP. Here, the company is by default the owner. Okay. So this is the difference you should be knowing because you're at the hiring stage.